Blackbeard did not need to attack a ship to conquer it. Sometimes all he had to do was appear on the horizon. Imagine standing on the deck of a merchant vessel somewhere in the Caribbean. The sea is calm. The wind is steady. Then someone points toward the distance. At first, it looks like nothing more than another ship. But within minutes, every sailor on board understands exactly what they're looking at. A massive black flag rises into the sky. Cannons line the sides of the vessel like rows of waiting predators. And standing at the center of it all is a figure that barely looks human. His beard hangs down his chest like a dark curtain, twisted into thick braids. Slow-burning fuses are woven into his hair and beneath his hat, filling the air around his face with swirling clouds of smoke. His coat is loaded with pistols. Multiple blades hang from his belt. His eyes seem almost impossible to read through the haze. He doesn't shout. He doesn't rush. He simply watches. That man was Edward Teach, the pirate the world would remember as Blackbeard. For generations, history has portrayed him as the ultimate pirate, a monster who terrorized the Atlantic, a ruthless criminal whose name alone caused experienced sailors to surrender without firing a single shot. But the truth is far stranger, because Blackbeard's greatest weapon was never his ship. It wasn't his cannons. It wasn't even his sword. It was fear. He understood something centuries before modern psychology would put it into words. The human mind is often defeated long before the body ever enters a fight. If people believe they are facing something unstoppable, they usually stop resisting. Blackbeard transformed himself into a living nightmare, carefully constructing an image so terrifying that entire crews abandoned hope the moment they recognized his silhouette. Every detail of his appearance was calculated. Every movement served a purpose. Every rumor made him stronger. And perhaps the most unsettling part, much of what people believed about Blackbeard wasn't true at all. The legend became more powerful than the man. To understand how one sailor became the most feared pirate in history, we have to go back to a world where empires fought for oceans, fortunes were carried across the sea in floating treasure vaults, and governments accidentally created the very criminals they would spend decades trying to destroy. Because Blackbeard wasn't born into piracy. History made him. History remembers Blackbeard as if he emerged from the sea itself, fully formed, wrapped in smoke and violence. But Edward Teach was not born wearing pistols across his chest or commanding one of the most feared ships in the Atlantic. Long before sailors whispered his name with terror, he was simply another Englishman growing up in a world that was changing faster than anyone could understand. Very little is known about his childhood, and that mystery only feeds the legend. Most historians believe he was born around 1680 in Bristol, one of England's busiest ports. It was a city where the smell of salt water mixed with gunpowder and ambition. Every day, ships arrived carrying sugar, tobacco, spices, and stories from distant oceans. For a young boy, the sea wasn't just part of the landscape. It was an invitation. But the oceans of the late 17th century were nothing like the peaceful blue waters imagined today. They were battlefields. The British Empire, France, Spain, and the Netherlands were locked in an endless struggle for wealth and territory. Merchant ships carried fortunes worth millions in today's money, while naval fleets hunted each other across the Atlantic. Wherever valuable cargo traveled, violence followed. For thousands of young men, this constant conflict offered opportunity. Governments needed sailors faster than they could train them. Experience mattered more than background. If you could survive storms, handle a cannon, and obey orders under fire, there was a place for you aboard a warship. Edward Teach learned his trade in exactly this environment. During the War of the Spanish Succession, he likely served aboard English privateers, privately owned ships authorized by the Crown to attack enemy commerce. On paper, they were legal. In reality, the line separating a privateer from a pirate was dangerously thin. The same crew that captured a French merchant vessel under royal permission one year could find themselves hunted as criminals the next if the political winds changed. And eventually they did. When the war ended in 1713, thousands of experienced sailors suddenly found themselves unemployed. The governments that had once praised them no longer needed them. Their ships were decommissioned. Their wages disappeared. Their skills remained. But the oceans were still full of treasure. Imagine spending years risking your life in naval battles, only to return home and discover there was no reward waiting for you. No land, no fortune, no secure future, just poverty. While heavily loaded merchant ships continued crossing the Atlantic every single day, many sailors reached the same conclusion. If governments could no longer pay them to seize ships, they would simply do it for themselves. And out of that decision, an entirely new age was born. The golden age of piracy. It wasn't built by monsters. It was built by men who already knew exactly how to wage war. Among the hundreds of pirates sailing the Atlantic, Edward Teach was still nobody. He wasn't the richest. He wasn't the most experienced. And he certainly wasn't the most famous. That would change when he crossed paths with one man who already terrified the Caribbean. His name was Benjamin Hornigold. Hornigold wasn't just another pirate captain. He was one of the architects of the golden age of piracy, commanding loyal crews from the pirate haven of Nassau in the Bahamas. Under his leadership, piracy wasn't random chaos. It was organized, disciplined, and surprisingly strategic. Teach quickly proved himself valuable. He learned far more than how to fire cannons or board enemy ships. He studied leadership. He watched how fear spread through rumors faster than ships could travel. He realized that the greatest victories were often won before the first cannon was ever fired. Then came the moment that changed everything. Hornigold accepted the king's pardon, abandoning piracy in exchange for freedom. Many of his followers refused to surrender. Edward Teach was one of them. Almost overnight, he inherited experienced sailors, powerful ships, and something even more valuable, a reputation waiting for its next owner. But Teach wasn't interested in simply becoming another pirate captain. He wanted to become something impossible to ignore. Instead of relying only on force, he built a character. His enormous black beard became part of his identity. Before battles, he tucked slow-burning fuses beneath his hat and into his hair. Thick smoke surrounded his face, making him appear less like a man and more like something from a nightmare. His coat carried multiple loaded pistols. Swords hung from every side of his belt. Every detail was intentional. He understood that terrified people don't think clearly. And if fear could make an entire crew surrender, he could win without destroying the prize. Soon, stories about the mysterious pirate spread across every port in the Atlantic. Sailors exaggerated what they had seen. Merchants added new details. Taverns transformed rumors into legends. By the time most people finally saw Blackbeard with their own eyes, they had already lost the battle inside their minds. Everything changed in November 1717. Off the coast of the Caribbean, Blackbeard intercepted a massive French slave ship known as La Concorde. It was one of the largest vessels sailing those waters, heavily armed and built to cross the Atlantic carrying hundreds of captive Africans. Most pirate captains would have stripped it of its cargo and moved on. Blackbeard saw something far more valuable. He claimed the ship, reinforced its firepower with around 40 cannons, and renamed it Queen Anne's Revenge. It instantly became one of the most powerful pirate ships in the world. From that moment, Blackbeard was no longer simply another outlaw hiding among islands. He had become a floating fortress capable of overpowering merchant convoys and even challenging naval vessels. Yet what made him truly dangerous wasn't how often he fought. It was how rarely he needed to. As the Queen Anne's Revenge approached, panic usually spread long before the first warning shot. Merchant captains had heard the stories. They knew the smoking beard. They knew the black flags. They knew resistance could mean disaster. Many surrendered immediately. Ironically, Blackbeard often preferred it that way. Historical accounts suggest he avoided unnecessary bloodshed whenever possible. A damaged ship was less valuable. Dead sailors couldn't reveal terrifying stories in the next port. Fear was far more profitable than destruction. Every successful capture strengthened the myth. Soon, tales claimed he had supernatural powers. Some insisted bullets couldn't kill him. Others believed he had made a deal with the devil himself. None of it was true. Blackbeard never tried to stop the rumors. He encouraged them. Then, in May 1718, he made a move so bold that it shocked the entire British Empire. Instead of attacking isolated merchant ships, he sailed directly toward one of Britain's busiest colonial ports, Charleston, South Carolina. For nearly a week, Blackbeard's fleet sealed the harbor, trapping every ship inside. Wealthy merchants, government officials, and ordinary sailors suddenly found themselves prisoners without a single cannon fired at the city itself. His demand wasn't gold. It wasn't jewels. It wasn't even food. He demanded a chest of medicine. Only after receiving it did he release his prisoners and quietly disappear into the Atlantic. It was one of the most humiliating moments the British colonies had ever experienced. And now, Blackbeard was no longer just the most feared pirate on the sea. He had become an embarrassment the British crown could no longer tolerate. From that moment forward, his fate was sealed. The greatest hunt in pirate history had begun.